Jesus Christ, Mike Tyson.
So, as you know, lately I've been kind of on a binge watching of the show Friends.
Yeah, you got me into it, actually.
You're welcome.
Yeah, well, I didn't start at season 1. I started at like 5.
I noticed that. You started texting me something about some moment. Like, you acted like you were going to go through the whole thing again, and like you sent me some text about some episode, and I was like, he's like where I'm at. It's been like one day. There's no way.
I went to IGN, and I just wanted to watch like the top episodes, but like 5 of the top 10 were in between 5 and 6.
Yeah, don't. Oh,
And
I don't know about that.
See, and I always thought that those were the best seasons, so I just started at 5 and plowed through. I tried starting from the beginning, and there's something about just the show's look of it being in the early 90s that I can't handle.
See, and I'm perfectly okay with that. It is absolutely, this first season especially, it's definitely very dated.
Yes.
But it's okay because the storylines and the humor are still there.
You know what did it for me was when Courtney Cox walked in, and she was wearing like a sunflower pattern long dress and white tennis shoes. All I could think of was her character from Ace Ventura.
That's valid, but
Yeah.
still, well, okay. Well, here's why I'm even bringing this up is because in those early seasons, especially in the particularly in the hooking up of Ross and Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
That's when you get a lot of the like serious moments out of the show and a lot of that ongoing storyline. I mean, not only are you getting to know the characters and everything and the way all of their ins and outs, their nooks and crannies and all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You also get a lot of the best Joey and Chandler moments too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in those later seasons there, like when they split them up and they don't live together anymore, few and far between.
Yeah, it's not as good.
Them living together and being roommates and having everyone else essentially live right across the hall really made the show what it was.
One thing Friends was really good at doing was taking the serious moments and adding the comedy twist without ruining how serious the overall moment is.
I mean, I like even just the drop dead serious moments of it. Like, I really like that. Going to the moment when like Ross and Rachel actually finally hook up, that episode,
Mm-hmm.
the one with the prom video.
Yeah.
That scene kind of hits actually pretty hard for me. I tear up during that scene, but to me that they sold it like perfectly, like the kind of build up to that and like having this one moment in this show when it like, Rachel kind of finally realized like, okay, this guy has been like crazy in love with me and he is going to be like the one guy that actually cares about me as a person. And the way that moment played out to me was amazing. So just kind of got me thinking about other shows and other sitcoms. Friends maybe being top for me. And yes, sorry, everyone. I like Friends. I like it a lot, actually.
I think they're liars if they say they don't.
I think so too.
There's one iconic thing about that show, and it's not Jennifer Aniston. It's the theme song. Don't you do that. Don't you do that.
It's a catchy tune, but man, you get sick of it.
Absolutely not.
No?
I cannot wait for that theme song to roll in.
Every time?
How do you think I found out about the Arquette mistake?
Yeah, I don't skip the... I don't know that it was a mistake. I feel like somebody had a little bit of fun.
Yeah, in one of the seasons on Netflix, I believe it was 6, the opening episode, everybody had the last name Arquette, so he just went through and married every cast member of the show that episode. David Schwimmer Arquette, Matthew Perry Arquette, Matt LeBlanc Arquette.
LeBlanca.
Oh my God, I have a Halloween costume idea now. How you doing?
That would be fantastic, but you're going to be green?
Yep.
Green and like crazy orange hair?
Yeah, I'll be Dr. Drake Ramore, LeBlanca.
Well, I have other episodes and like other shows, but like, well, let's stick with Friends for now. Like, what was like a big moment for you where you're just kind of like, oh, why does the show had to get so serious all of a sudden?
I mean, essentially anything with Phoebe. She's such an innocent character through the entire series. Anything that goes bad for her, I instantly just want to cry.
Sometimes I feel like Phoebe in that episode where like she's just pissed off at Ross and she can't remember why. Then Ross just shows up at the coffee house and she's like, "Oh God, this guy again."
It was such a good episode. What was she upset about? They ended up getting to the bottom of it with that guessing game, with that rapid fire.
He called her boring.
Oh, that's right.
But he had like the head of somebody else, so it ended up being one of her dreams.
That's right. No, she ripped his like plasma face off.
Something like that.
Yeah, and it was. You know what else? You know what else I liked about?
I love Phoebe.
It was the dessert episode, and she fell in love with Mr. Geller because of the dream she had.
I haven't gotten to that yet.
That's a classic episode. You should know that. You shouldn't if you don't. But.
No, I have vague memories of it, but it has to be a later episode then because I don't.
It's like balls deep into season 6. It's like the 15th episode, so it's towards the end.
Okay, then I'm not quite at that point again yet, but I've got to be damn close because I am in season 6.
And
I've probably watched at least 10 of the episodes in 6.
She falls in like she has a dream about Ross's dad, Ross and Monica's dad. And she's hot for him the entire episode until she takes a nap and he takes his face off and Jacques Cousteau kicks his ass because he was flirting with somebody else. So then she has the hots for Jacques Cousteau.
Oh, Phoebe.
She's seriously one of the best well-written characters. Did I say that right?
She's like my number 2 moment that like I wrote down.
There's one where her grandma's funeral. I believe it's her grandma's funeral or her aunt's funeral. I can't remember what happened, but her dad shows up.
Yeah.
And she doesn't tell him who she is, so she has him meet him at the coffee house later.
Yep.
And she sits him down and asks him a bunch of questions like he's an insurance adjuster. And then it's revealed that Phoebe is his daughter. And there's kind of a silent, serious moment, and she goes, what? He got something.
She gave him something silly because it was just kind of something out of her purse. But
it was a tube of lipstick.
Yeah,
because the line is lipstick and a daughter, big day.
Because she played that part like pretty well, and like she was going through this whole list of like essentially catching him up to like where everyone was, what happened to everyone, like
making sure this was actually Frank.
Yeah, like Ursula's over, living here doing this, and then she like kind of pauses, and you wonder if she's gonna like reveal, and she's like, and Phoebe is sitting on this couch.
Another good one too is when Chandler played it off that he didn't want to get married right away. And you find out that he actually went to the reception hall that Monica booked just in case.
Yeah. And
planned the engagement. Now, the only thing I didn't like about that is that story arc took like 4 episodes. It was 3.
They drag some moments out from time to time. But my Phoebe moment was actually the episode where she gives birth to the triplets. Mm-hmm. And then after she gives birth to them, she asks everyone to leave her alone so she could have a moment alone with them.
Yeah.
And she's just kind of like holding all 3 of them and like talking to them and, letting them like grab her finger and everything like that. And as she's just kind of like saying goodbye to them. And you can actually see it as like the camera's kind of like panning away. You can actually see her, like Lisa Kudrow, like kind of like puts her head down and is like starts to bawl.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can tell even as like an actress like that hit her pretty hard.
Didn't one of the girls get named Chandler?
The female is named Chandler. Yes.
Another one of my favorite serious moments that they kind of put a funny twist to was the episode where Chandler kisses Joey's girlfriend and Joey moves out.
Yeah.
And they're doing that like where Chandler's watching it rain outside and he's kind of looking off in the distance. And the camera pans on Joey and you see that window pane with the rain. And as the camera pulls out, it's just one of those like statues that have rainwater.
Fantastic.
Well, right behind him, it's raining outside. And it's one of those things that it's a Joey moment so you can believe it, but it's not overdone.
That could only be sold as a Joey moment.
Yeah.
Anyone else, you'd just be like, oh, that's stupid.
Yeah, like it would pull you out if it was Ross or Phoebe. Well, would you buy it if Phoebe did it?
Possibly.
Okay.
I don't know if you have any other Friends moments, but how about Scrubs?
You know what? I got to tell you, I'm not a big fan of their serious moments.
Scrubs, really?
There's a lot of good ones. But the one that did it for me was the beginning of the episode after Dr. Cox took those organs and transplanted them to 3 different people.
Yeah, actually that was the episode I was going to bring up.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't like. They pulled you out of the serious moment like right after it. Like the episode ends, they all die. He gets up and walks out.
See, I don't remember. You can go ahead and explain it to me again.
And then the episode opens up where JD's walking down the hallway. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna cheer him up." And then Dr. Cox is drunk at work. That is believable, but the way they portrayed it kind of pulled me out of the moment. And then the rest of the episode was just an episode. It wasn't this big closing moment for Dr. Cox and JD to bond. It was it's a Scrubs episode.
See, I thought that was ultimately towards the end of the episode where like the lady dies, they take her organs and they're able to give them to these several patients that actually happen to be waiting for their transplants, and they get them, and then later on they find out that she died of rabies or whatever it was.
Yeah.
So all the organ recipients die one by one.
It was kind of it was another one of those multiple episode arcs. Do you remember Cabbage, the intern who just couldn't do anything right?
Yeah.
He shakes her hand at the end of the episode because those two took a liking to each other, but he didn't wash his hands. So at the end of the episode, you see her laying there, and like his hands red to signify germs, or it was green or something, and it spread onto her, which ultimately ended up killing her. And then they took her organs, but they didn't know she had rabies.
Yeah.
So then that's how that portrayed. But fucking Cabbage killed her.
Cabbage.
God damn it.
What a name. Who's Cabbage?
That was JD's favorite. But no, you are right in the fact that they do have a lot of good moments. That Scrubs does have a lot of serious moments, like when Ben dies.
Mm-hmm.
I never, watching it for the first time when they revealed that he was dead and Dr. Cox was just having a breakdown.
Yeah.
They played it off nicely, I thought.
Yeah, I like that episode. I know that there were other serious moments before that, but I remember that being like one of the big ones, the major ones that like hit pretty hard.
That was season 2, right?
I believe so. Maybe 2 or 3, somewhere right around there.
I'm trying to think what was serious before that. JD sleeping with Jordan?
Well, they did quite a few like serious relationship things.
Okay.
So every now and then JD would have, or they would just do the like kind of serious thing where like JD would just have like a bad day at work, and there would be that like moral of the story kind of thing by the end of the episode where JD actually gets serious.
Mm-hmm.
They would do several things like that, which I always thought that they did well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean they're in a hospital. Bad stuff was going to happen.
Yeah.
It couldn't be like, Cheers in a hospital. So
they tried. Remember the episode where the writer of Cheers comes in? They actually do that kind of an episode?
Yeah.
Only it doesn't work out.
Yeah. I have, unless you have more Scrubs stuff.
Which way are we going?
I have the Wonder Years.
Dang. You know what? I never watched that show.
Oh, man, dude.
You miss Mike now, don't you?
When you're, yes, I do.
He hesitated.
I miss him anyway because I'm looking to my left.
Yeah.
And there's nothing. There's nothing.
He's like the Ben Sullivan of this Scrubs group.
I just kind of want to put Topper there. Topper.
Slide his chair over. There you go.
Topper.
Should we get him a headset?
We
can't.
Now he's looking right at me. Now I can pretend that I'm saying something to Mike, but I'm just getting a blank stare by a giraffe.
So same thing?
Okay, so the Wonder Years. When you're done with Friends, you should start the Wonder Years.
But I have to watch House again.
That's good. That's actually going to be dated on purpose, though, because the show takes place in the 60s.
It was filmed in the 80s, though,
50s,
wasn't it?
50s, 60s. Oh, geez, I don't remember. Anywho,
Well, if you had a laptop right by you.
if only. I'm not that worried about it.
Our listeners are.
So there's
I get fan mail about our incorrectness.
I'm sure.
Personally.
So the Wonder Years.
They don't want to hurt your feelings.
They send it to they just Facebook us. There's an episode, you're at least vaguely familiar, so you kind of know like the characters a little bit. Okay, so there's an episode, and it's really early on. I believe it's maybe even in the first season, possibly the second season. It hits really early. What's his name? Kevin. He's got a crush. Mm-hmm. He loves a little Winnie
Winnie
across the street.
Yep.
She had an older brother at the start of the series, who gets shipped off to the war, the Vietnam War.
Okay.
He dies.
Ooh.
So they have an episode where like they bring his whole like death and funeral and like all that into the show, and they did it really well. It actually kind of,
Okay.
it kind of hits you pretty good during that episode. They had quite a few other serious moments too. Like pretty much anything involving like Kevin's dad was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
You need to watch it just for that guy.
Should.
He's fantastic.
I know we rip on it all the time, but and it's a moment that still makes me cry to this day. And I know this because I try it out every once in a while. The episode after Jonathan Kent dies, it's called Vengeance. And what happens is Clark goes to donate, or Martha goes to donate Jonathan's stuff because Clark doesn't want it. And she gets robbed.
For those that don't know, we're talking Smallville.
You should know.
You should know.
Anyway, he goes and gets the stuff back, and he finds his dad's watch, and he comes back to the house, and he's wearing it. Well, in the meantime, Martha's watching these old videos of younger Clark and Jonathan driving around on a tractor. And Clark, I'm getting welled thinking about it right now. Clark walks in, sees what she's watching, and she looks back, sees he's wearing the watch, and she starts crying.
Mm.
And there's a scene where in the whole movie, Jonathan says, I'm going to take him out to the back 40. Is that okay with you? And she's like, yeah, fine. And then he goes, bye-bye. And it pauses right there.
Oh, man.
And that like even talking about it still, it kind of,
yeah.
I'm getting a little flustered, but.
You're doing like the Janice when Rachel wave.
Yeah, I'm getting the vapors. No, it was just such a well-done moment because up until, his death, Jonathan had always been his guiding light.
Why did they off him?
Well, he died in the comics. He died in the comics of a heart attack.
That's true, but I don't know.
I mean, they could have written it a different way. I mean, they brought back Lionel from another dimension, for God's sakes. Although I'm glad they did because I really like that character.
Yeah.
Especially after his breakdown with the piece of the fortress key.
Yeah, but kind of because of what we talked about, though, they dragged that on too long. So at a certain point, you get tired of those characters.
Oh, yeah. I got tired of Lana like second episode.
Jeez.
Took her 7.5 seasons to get rid of her.
Such a crush on Lana.
I did too until she started dating Lex. I was like, come on.
That was pretty rude of her.
Bitch.
You got any more TV show stuff, or do you want to jump right into the movie?
Actually, I'd like to go back real quick.
Yeah, go back.
I want to talk about, again, the moments they pull you out of things. And Friends did it on 2 different occasions, almost back to back. The episodes with Bruce Willis as Liz's dad.
Yeah, I haven't gotten back to those in my rewatch yet, but I do remember what you're talking about.
Because like almost 3 episodes, he's this hard-ass, strict father. And then in 2 episodes, they just 180 him and he's a complete sissy. Like for almost half an episode, he's this hard, they sneak up to their cabin because Ross and Liz are going to do their thing. And Rachel and Paul, Bruce Willis's character, shows up. And Ross hides under the bed, and they find out Paul is just as insecure as anybody else. But he's not like, okay, I can do this. He's like flexing in the mirror, like, you the man. And he starts singing to himself. And then the next episode, Rachel gets him to break down and share his emotions in his childhood, and he just turns into a sniveling baby. And not like that, my childhood was terrible, but like crying and writing things down and
A little over the top.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then like the next couple of episodes forward, Richard comes back. Tom Selleck. Only he confesses, he still loves Monica and wants to marry her.
This answers your question from earlier then. He does make another appearance.
Well, I was wondering after the engagement.
Is this before? So I'm about to hit Bruce Willis any second now?
Yeah, because
Okay.
before the engagement, Chandler tries to make Monica think that he doesn't want to get married.
Oh, okay.
And then Tom Selleck shows up, tells Monica that he loves her and wants to have her, he'll have kids with her.
Oh, T.S.
God, I do him so hard.
Okay. Speaking of taking you out of the moment.
And then, she goes over to his house to talk to him, and he's like, he just does the things that pull you out of the moment.
Yeah.
Like
fair
in the
enough.
seasons he was in there, he was awesome. He was manly. You know, he did what he wanted, but he was still with Monica. This one, he was just like, oh, you don't like cigar smokes? I'll stop smoking.
Well, that's kind of like the whole thing. Unfortunately, unless it's used and done very well, that's kind of the thing with like having like guest stars for me.
Mm-hmm.
Is it's kind of like it almost immediately when some other known name or celebrity or whatever appears on your show that you're just used to dealing with these characters on, all of a sudden they're on your show. You're kind of like, okay, now I'm pulled right out of this because this guy's on here.
I hate that.
And it hasn't been a lot, but there has been moments of like them definitely doing it, like on Friends. Like Charlie Sheen has been on.
What did he do?
He was Phoebe's girlfriend for a little bit. He was the Navy guy,
Oh, yeah.
but he was only on like a couple of episodes.
Okay.
Um,
Brad Pitt, too.
do you remember? Yeah, he's in one of the later seasons. They did a very, very just a one short little stint with them with actually Billy Crystal and Robin Williams.
Really?
Yeah. See? Do you see the stuff you missed by not watching the earlier seasons?
What did they do?
They just show up at the coffee house. It's at like the end of one of the episodes, and Rachel's trying to tell some story about how something went at like the end of it. And Billy Crystal and Robin Williams are like there together. They get their coffee. They sit at the end of the couch, and I forget, but they're having some sort of like argument about like one of them kind of like getting their stuff together because their wife cheated on them or left them. So they're just having like a very loud like kind of conversation argument about it.
Yeah.
And Rachel kind of keeps trying to like tell her story, but like they're kind of getting louder and louder, just doing their thing. And eventually they just kind of like all give up and they listen to what like Billy Crystal and Robin Williams are talking about, and they just kind of end the episode and they leave.
I was hoping it'd be one of those things like they did in one of the seasons I watched where Chandler was sitting on the couch by himself and somebody else sat in a chair and he goes, no. And the guy gets up and leaves and then everybody else walks in. Josh and I decided that we would have a thing. Once a month, we would assign each other a movie to watch. Once a week? Once a day?
Once
A day?
Once in a while.
Once a month.
Once in a while.
Once a week. Once a week.
No.
Once a month.
Maybe.
Okay. Once a month, we're going to assign each other a movie to watch. Now, the catch is it's a movie we think the other person would not normally watch.
But would enjoy. Should
enjoy. That probably wasn't my thinking when I gave you the one I did.
That's correct.
Josh, what did you give me?
I gave you Frozen.
That is not a movie at all what I expected it to be.
It's a little gem of a movie, and I feel like all people really should give it a fair chance. I understand not everyone is going to like it.
Right.
It's a good movie. It's an adorable movie.
Just by the previews and what you read in the papers about kids dressing up as Elsa and, being her for Halloween and how empowering she is. Again, not at all what I was expecting. My very first note for this movie, Anna is so much better than Elsa.
She
Anna,
really
sorry.
she really is. She really is, yeah. Anna.
And then my second, Hans! Prince of the Southern Isle. He was a really cool character. I liked him in the beginning.
Yeah, I guess.
Duke of Weaselton, he had zero part in that movie. Like, I thought he would have been the villain.
Yeah, you were waiting for that. In a way, he was like a sub-villain.
However, he is agile like a peacock.
He is.
And he is known as a Little Dipper. I had to pause the movie from laughter when he called himself that. He's like, I'm known as a Little Dipper. And then he dips her. Oh, man. When he's running around, his toupee's flapping.
I bet there was more than one moment you had to pause.
One moment I didn't have to is when Elsa bitched out and ran away.
Okay. We'll get to that, I guess.
I wrote, Elsa is a bitch. A big, awful, bitched-faced bitch.
Damn.
Well, she goes ahead and zaps her sister and then takes off.
Well...
And then while she does that, she freezes the lakes and all the ships in their spot.
You act like she set out to do all this on purpose, though.
Could have been a little less selfish.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
She's not that bad.
You know who the savior of this movie was? And I don't know if he got credit enough. Sven.
Yeah.
The reindeer.
Yeah.
Love that guy.
Or
Olaf?
the other Sven.
Other Sven?
Olaf. Called them both Sven.
Oh. Olaf was good, but I didn't think he was that awesome character everybody made him out to be.
He's pretty awesome though.
Sven. How him and Kristoff share the carrots.
I told you towards the end that was one of my favorite moments when like he's talking to him about like they're leaving the castle again and he wasn't going to go back and for Anna and Sven just kind of stops and like gives him that look like
Come on.
Then
he goes to the door. And then the most heartbreaking moment, Hans. You son of a bitch.
You had to see that coming at some point, didn't you?
Absolutely not.
No?
No. I thought for sure the Duke of Weaseltown would have done something.
Huh.
And it's Weaselton.
There was something going on with that cat.
Yeah.
You could smell it.
Like I said before, I expected this movie to be all about Elsa and whatever she had to go through, and it really wasn't. It was more about Anna and her struggle with her relationship with her sister and helping her out.
Which was good because Anna was awesome.
Yeah. And I actually like how they broke that curse or whatever you call it.
Yeah, me too.
I did feel bad when she was frozen like this. She like hands up like she was blocking. Well, she was blocking a sword. I was like, oh. And then everything came good.
Did you tear up at all?
No.
No?
No.
But you had to pause it to giggle a few times.
Of course.
Okay. So you don't hate me for making you watch Frozen?
Not as much as you hate me for making you watch Blended.
Well, you may be right about that.
Come on. Okay. What are your notes? What do you got?
All right, I'll go through you one at a time. You can stop me when I read one off, or I can just go through the list here.
Did you at least make mention of the beginning part at Hooters?
Okay, but Blended. For those that don't know, I don't think Frozen needed an introduction, but Blended is the movie with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
Kevin Nealon.
Just to kind of basically sum up what the plot is like at the beginning of the movie, they go on a blind date. It goes awful. They both end up going on the same, I won't get into the mechanics of how, but they both end up going on the same exact vacation to this resort in Africa together. So they're kind of stuck together on this vacation.
For those who want to
in a way.
For those who want to know how, very simple. Adam Sandler's boss and Drew Barrymore's best friend were going to go on a trip. They break up. Drew Barrymore buys her best friend's half. Adam Sandler buys his boss's half of the trip.
So they're on this vacation with with the halves of the vacation in Africa, and hilarity is supposed to ensue from there. So here are my notes on Blended. Note number 1, you asked. So my note is awful opening.
What?
Stupid hot sauce and French onion soup thing.
What?
That was note number 1.
When he drinks her beer?
Yeah.
That is hysterical.
I seriously, after that opening moment at Hooters, I almost stopped the movie and texted you that I can't do this. I can't. But for the sake of the show and for the sake of our friendship, I carried on, friend. I put that movie on my back.
He carried on like a wayward son.
And not to mention, this is supposed to be a comedy. It was an hour and 50 minutes long.
It was.
Note number 2. Freaking Shaq.
Problem?
Shaq.
Yeah. Have you seen Kazam?
Actually, his beginning parts in the movie were actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Towards the end, it was ridiculous when he just started crying for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, note number 3. I want to spray these kids with kerosene and light them on fire.
Which kids?
Drew Barrymore's kids.
Oh, the boys are terrible.
I believe it was the beginning of the movie when they're just rampaging all over the house and the babysitter is trying to get them to calm down and they like spray stuff on her face and there's something else on fire. And I'm just kind of like, you know what? I kind of want to light these kids on fire.
Eye for an eye.
Note number 4. No other questions or comments about the notes so far?
Not yet.
Note number 4. So far, I like Terry Crews.
You liked his character?
Yeah.
You liked the fact they were Oompa Loompas, essentially.
Yeah, pretty much.
Anytime something big went down, they came up with
They
a song.
popped up and they were there singing, and he was doing his little pelvic thrust. And
One thing that impressed me was that little dance move he was doing with the dumbbells. Like they were pulling him. I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, it looked pretty good. He's a good dancer, actually. Well, or at least he can do that move. I like Terry Crews, though.
He's a good man. You should see him in the Expendables.
This one shouldn't surprise you. Note number 5, giraffes.
Fucking love giraffes.
There were giraffes in that movie. Oh, and that one licked that kid's face.
Put his tongue in his mouth.
Oh,
Yeah.
it did, man. He got all up in there. The giraffes. The giraffes were fantastic. I like that. Note number 6. The massage scene was kind of cute.
Well, yeah. There's got to be an apex somewhere.
That was like, the predictable plot turn point of when things are going to go from I hate your guts to, well, maybe actually I kind of like you a little bit. That was the turning point of it, but it was actually a pretty cute scene. So, what was that? What are we on? Note number 7?
Dang.
Note number 7, we're pretty much jumping all the way towards the end of the movie because I just wrote, Mark, who is Drew Barrymore's ex.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you don't like Joel McHale?
I could not stand his character in this movie.
Oh, okay.
Could not stand it.
Okay.
That was it. That was towards the end of the movie when Adam Sandler shows up. I mean, he's gonna take her flowers and try to be like, "Hey, maybe we can try this thing." And he's at the door and tells them that they're working on getting back together, get lost.
Yeah.
And then he bails on his kid again.
Classic Joel McHale.
Last note.
Here we go.
And this is even something maybe you can answer and we can talk about here. Was
Thanks.
why? Why this movie? Was there a moral for me to take away?
Because you gave me Frozen.
No, you gave me Blended first.
Did I?
You did.
I did. I gave it to you like a day before you gave me Frozen.
No, it was mere minutes apart, but
Yeah, that's true.
You popped out with Blended fast.
I did.
You
It was
were
between
like,
Blended and the Expendables 3. Both have Terry Crews.
I won't lie. I probably would have rather watched Blended.
Oh, wow. Yikes. No, the 3 was pretty bad because it got that PG-13 rating to...
Did it really?
Yeah, they wanted to appeal to a more massive audience. Didn't work out well.
No. Well, I mean, it was part 3. Maybe they should have done that with part 1.
Probably.
So, okay, those were my notes from Blended. I didn't hate the movie. I don't know that I'll ever really go back to it.
Your notes tell me different.
Well, all the parts in between, like notice like essentially a large chunk of the time when they are on vacation in Africa, I didn't really make that many notes. Those were the parts of the movie I felt like excelled.
What'd you feel about Kevin Nealon and his wife?
Absolutely horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Every time they were on, I cringed.
Oh, Kevin Nealon.
Well, because Kevin Nealon essentially played the exact same character that he was in Happy Gilmore, which is he still just talked like this. Very nice.
He did.
Very nice. It was his Happy Gilmore character.
Yeah.
In this movie. Married to the chick who could only do this little, what was the dance? What do they call it?
Shimmy?
The shimmy.
Shimmy, 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 shimmy.
Got all the stupid, the stereotypical big-breasted blonde who would shimmy with her boobs at the table. Like, I just... To me, it's just when you take comedy and you dumb it down to the lowest common denominators, when I start to tune out.
They call it Adam Sandlering the movie. I don't know. They should, though.
They should now.
That was, I know I've told you a bunch of times, but one day I went to like 3 movies.
Yeah.
22 Jump Street.
Ugh.
Then I went and saw Chef.
That was probably the high point of your day.
Actually, Blended was.
Oh,
yeah.
Chef was that bad?
Chef was number 2. They were all really, like, Chef was surprisingly good.
And you still say Blended was better.
That was my expectation. It was just that it was going to be shit, but I had nothing to do, and I had a free movie ticket.
Yeah, I had a hard time with Blended. I had a really hard time with the opening. The opening drew me out and made me want to stop it almost immediately. So I had a hard time getting into the characters from that point.
Dang. What about the connection between that Hooters and his character? Did that help at all?
It did a little bit, but I feel like they should have played that as more of a sympathy thing instead of like
just a, oh, by the way.
They played it as more of an oh, by the way, and they didn't do it in the beginning. Like in the beginning, you just kind of like, yeah, all right, there is something going on with this guy. He's just kind of being an ass, and then it's just kind of an oh, by the way later on thing.
See, that's what pulled me in was when he drank her beer when she was gone. That did it for me. I was like, ah.
Just because he drank someone else's beer?
It was funny. Then he put it back and made her think she drank. I feel like Adam Sandler in that movie is how you would be in real life.
A miserable son of a bitch?
Well, how he like talks back to people.
Like a smartass?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Do I do that often? Or are you just saying you see me being that way in the future?
I see you being that way.
You're not saying that I'm a smartass right now.
You are, but I just see it continuing.
Am I?
That's why it reminds me of you.
So, I liked a lot of the parts when they were actually on vacation in Africa. That stuff was okay, but yeah, the dumbed down, like I said, kind of lowest. The comedy actually wasn't all that great. It actually was when the moments got a little bit cute, like the massage scene, and then even after, I think it was actually right after that, actually, when one of Adam Sandler's girls asks Drew Barrymore to like sing her to sleep or like whatever. And and there's that scene like between them, and it's like those scenes were actually done pretty well.
Yeah.
And then you're drawn right out of it again because Adam Sandler's peeing outside of the tent.
I'm such a child.
So they did some of the moments that were supposed to kind of draw you into these characters pretty well, but the comedy bits and the other characters that were in it just not very good.
No.
So come up with a better movie next time.
Nope.
All right. Okay, so going along with the idea of bets and challenges, since you challenged me to watch Blended, that kind of got me thinking like about bets and challenges that maybe we've done through our life that maybe ended up going a little bit too far, but maybe you still completed it anyway. I kind of got cheated out of a bet once, actually.
Yeah.
It started off pretty ridiculous, and I feel like I accomplished well enough what needed to be done for me to win this challenge.
Mm-hmm.
My opponent says no.
What was the challenge?
Let me take you back in time, friend.
Get in the machine.
The Wayne's World thing? Forget it. Okay, so this is going back to high school days. I was at one point in time, I was very much so infatuated with this girl. Mm-hmm. Things didn't really blossom into a relationship between us. They just kind of fizzled out, and we stopped talking, and she started dating someone else.
Okay.
I started dating someone else. I had been with this girl for probably at least a year, probably a good year at this point. Okay, so I'm dating this girl for some time, and this other girl, we hadn't been in communication with very much at all during this time frame. For whatever reason, just because we often did kind of like what we do. We come up with the most stupid, off-the-wall, ridiculous ideas. Except back then, me and Bert, we actually did them.
Oh, no.
I don't know why. We just kind of didn't mind being a little bit over the top and ridiculous. So, whatever reason, I'm going to blame a day of random boredness for this. That was probably seriously it. We were probably just bored. So he comes up with this idea that he is going to call this girl. Let's give fake names here. Okay, let's just say
Schmeryl.
Let's say Jay.
I know what you're talking about.
Okay, let's say Jay would be the girl that I was infatuated with, but never really had a thing with.
Okay.
Okay. So, and then my current girlfriend would be M. Follow with me? Follow me here?
Men in Black. I like this.
I don't know if I did it. I don't know. But okay. So he says, all right, what I'm going to do is I am going to call Jay and I am going to give her this story of you and M just broke up and you're all torn to pieces. You're heartbroken and I've done everything that I could to console you and you just really need someone to be there for you. Maybe perhaps even have a female perspective to bring you out of this funk. And I'll lay it on good. I'll lay it on thick because the point was to get me into her house because we had essentially hadn't spoken and been really good friends for like a while. So I couldn't just show up and like knock on her door and just be like, hey, what's up, friend? And like go in.
Right.
So he had to come up with this thing to get me into her house. And the challenge was for me to stay there and just talk with her and last, I believe the bet was 4 hours that I had to sit in her house and just chum it up with her. And by the way, play that I was heartbroken.
Okay.
And sell this to her and talk to her about this for 4 friggin' hours. It works. He makes the call.
Okay.
I get in. I'm playing the part. I don't know how well because I'm probably not a very good actor, and I'm definitely not good, and I don't feel morally right with lying essentially.
But because you were dared.
So probably, yeah. My first immediate reaction was probably to go in there and just be like, I'm just gonna go in and tell the truth, and then we'll get that part done and out of the way, and then like, and then we can just kind of play catch up and see if I can actually last and maybe walk away being friends again or something after like 4 hours. So I didn't. I started playing the part and you know, we didn't talk about the relationship stuff like all that much, all that well. We talked about our things. We played catch up a little bit, talked about music and things of that nature. I make it to what I believe is somewhere in the ballpark of the 3 hour time frame. I am doing well. I am.
What are you like? How are you making it this long?
Well,
I mean, are there details you can share?
it was seriously just sitting down and having conversation.
Oh, this cookie reminds me of her.
No,
Okay.
no, I didn't like I said, the conversation did initially start off with, yeah, Bert told me about this. How you doing? Blah, da, 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 da. I kind of came up with my own little version of the story. We chit-chatted about that. And then, you know, we're young. You know, we had more to just kind of wing and talk about random stupid things that you could get away with. You could sound more like a moron back then than you can now. So it just kind of eventually, once we got out of that, because I could only play the heartbroken, depressed guy for so long. There's no way I was going to keep that up for 4 hours. So eventually it just kind of turned into playing catch up with like, hey, you know, what kind of stuff you've been listening to lately? And like, what have you been up to lately? And stuff like that. So just, you know, casual conversation and trying to keep the peace because things kind of exploded when she kind of really found out that like I kind of had feelings for her and she started dating someone else.
Did you give that part away?
Did I?
Yeah. Like
Yes.
when did she start piecing that together?
You know, to be honest, she started liking me first.
Okay.
So there was kind of this known thing that was there, and maybe it was ultimately my fault in that I never made the move because in the beginning she made it pretty obvious.
Okay.
So I was probably at fault. Like I never really made the move. I never really, you know, took that opportunity to take her on a date or to kiss her or to really have that talk with her until much later.
Okay.
And then she started dating somebody else.
I gotcha.
And like the very mature high school kid that I was, you know, I took it a little poorly, and I got pretty upset with her.
As most high schoolers do.
Yeah. So, you know, and I let her know that I was like, you know, pretty upset about it. And we tried maintaining friendship there for a little bit. It just eventually eroded away.
Right.
So I'm back.
Yep.
We're back to the bet here.
Yep.
I'm in the house.
In the house.
3 hours. I'm like 3 hours in. This was back in the day when Josh wore a watch. I had the little timer going, so I knew I knew how much time I had left to go. I was just waiting for that beep to go.
4 hours up.
At about this point, at about the 3 hour point, her then boyfriend comes over.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'm still sitting there and hanging out.
Let me ask this: were you and him like good on the same page or whatever going into this?
We had barely known each other. We knew of each other.
Okay.
But it wasn't like a...
So you being there would have been a little awkward for him.
100%.
Yes.
100%.
Amazing.
Especially if he got any backstory as to who I was.
Oh no.
And he knew that I like, oh, this was that guy.
Okay.
That like really kind of had a thing going on here and got all pissed off when we started dating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he did or not, but I decided to I was gonna make it, man.
You wanted those 4 hours.
I was going for 4 hours, damn it, whether this guy was there or not. So I stayed with him being there. Making again small talk, very, very awkward, very weird.
Mm-hmm.
And it reached a point to where like we just kind of like the group stopped chit-chatting and they started chit-chatting. And I was just kind of sitting away from them by myself.
Okay.
And then they started making out. Yeah. On her bed.
Yikes.
So I had like 30 minutes left and I was just kind of like, there's no conversation.
Mm-hmm.
They're just making out and kissing like right in front of me. And I'm like, I have a girlfriend that I could be going and doing this with right now. So like, what am I doing? Like, this is good enough. This is long enough.
What
this
was the timestamp on this?
3.5 hours.
Wow.
3.5 hours.
Classic guy.
So I call it. I'm just kind of like, all right, you know, they win. I can't sit here and watch this. I'm like,
Okay.
this 3.5 hours, man, this is gotta be good enough. So I bail. I'm just kind of like, I'm gonna get out of here now. You know, thanks for letting me hang for a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I take off. I get back to Bert's, which was relatively quick because this was back in the day when you could just walk to everyone's house that was near you. So I walk back. I make it back to Bert's, and he's just kind of like, nope. Absolutely not. You didn't make it 4 hours. I explained the whole situation to him. I was like, dude, he showed up like 3 hours in and I still made it another 30 minutes.
Tough shit.
I'm like, dude, I'm a champion.
Nope.
I'm an absolute champion for dealing with that.
Like silver medal.
The bet was ridiculous to begin with. 4 hours. 4?
You made it 3.5.
I made it 3.5. 30 minutes of which was with her boyfriend being there in front of me.
You should have like started critiquing them kissing.
Putting his play by play.
Dude, you're using too much tongue.
I didn't make it that awkward.
You're not looking at her enough. Open your eyes, damn it.
No, I wanted to. I was at least mature enough to realize that they wanted their alone time. So I you know, and I was only doing it for S's and G's to begin with. So
right. Yeah.
I'm like, all right, this has got to be good enough. I'm gonna go.
Was there any consequences to this?
You know, I just talked to Bert about this. For the life of me, neither of us can remember what the bet was. We both agreed that it was over something ridiculous, like probably over some VHS tapes or like a T-shirt or like some CDs. It would have been something ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Like you buy Taco Bell for a week. Ooh. Like it would not have been any, thus making it ridiculous because that's between me and Bert back in those days. That's absolutely what it would have been. It would have been like nothing in the world would have been worth winning that bet. So I feel like it was. That's what makes it
so close.
That's what makes it even more memorable is that we probably bet over some bullshit.
Yeah. Last
So,
stick of gum in the pack,
I made it that long with her. There was an unknown factor in there, man. There was we should have laid some ground rules of like, dude,
Yeah.
what if something happens to where I almost essentially have to go? Do we pause the time and I get to go back, or like
reset.
We didn't make too many ground rules other than I had to make it 4 hours, and I still feel like I feel pretty good. I feel like I accomplished.
That's what I liked about being younger and being dared to do things. There was never any like gray areas. It's either you do it or you don't do it.
Yeah.
When you grow up, you
And-
start making these gray areas just to make it a little bit easier on yourself.
And you know, I'm still game, man. Whatever. I don't care. I'll still
4
do
hours?
stuff. Yeah. That would be pretty close to watching Blended twice in a row. I could not survive that bet, but I still probably would. But no, you're absolutely right. Back in the day, I would have done probably almost any bet.
Yeah.
Probably almost anything with no regard for embarrassment or safety or anything else. We've just been like, done.
When I was younger, my friends, we would dare each other all the time. And one of them I remember was you got to sprint through the woods. And the woods wasn't anything massive or anything. It was like maybe 100 feet of trees, and then it led into this golf course. So like, all right,
Golf course.
you got to sprint into the woods and through the golf course. Catch is, you got to do it in your bathing suit. And when you're like 12, that's a big deal. Well, the golf course is for like the really rich people.
Yeah.
And you run right onto the 10th green.
Yeah.
So, you know, you're not like, oh, do I just run onto the 10th green and can I come home? You automatically assume you got to cut through the 10th green, through sand traps, through another set of woods, into the clubhouse and back.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, I never made it all the way back. I was fat when I was a kid, too. So I got like to the clubhouse halfway through the first sand trap and then just walked down the driveway and out.
Oh, no, man. You should have just like, you didn't have to like sprint even. You should have even just like slow strolled and like given the golfers like a wink in the guns, like a, you know.
We one time we did sit out in the woods with a shotgun gun recording because we had remember Home Alone 2
Yeah.
and the Talk Boys.
Yeah.
I had one of those, so we recorded a shotgun sound and then sat in the woods and played it every so often.
Nice.
Never knew if it actually got anybody, but every once in a while I just hear.
Was it that loud?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's impressive.
Well, the nice thing too is it was just there was woods, but there were like hollow areas, so everything echoed.
Yeah.
It was nice.
That is nice.
I mean, I got to say one of my most memorable challenges was a friend was having a birthday party at her house. Her boyfriend and I were really close, so we loved picking on her. So while she's taking care of her, she was really uptight about how things were placed in the house when her parents weren't home. So my bet was...
So was Monica.
My bet was I had to turn certain things and move certain things just ever so slightly throughout the night.
Yeah.
And just get her going. And if I could do it without her finding out, I would get a case of Coca-Cola, not the drug.
Again, low stakes here.
Low stakes. It was, well, when you're like 17 and cases of Coke are $14, you know, it's quite a treasure.
The Cube. It was probably the Cube back then.
It was, yeah. Yep. So I'm doing well throughout the night, and I get this idea that I'm going to be brazen and move her couch. I'm going to pull it forward.
That's not a small thing to just adjust. That's the damn couch.
Yeah, especially if you notice it's not flat against the wall.
Right.
So I get everybody up off the couch because they're in on it too. And I pull the couch back, and somebody goes, "Oh, she's coming, quick." And everybody sits down on one side of the couch. I get up and gently sit on the arm of the couch. You just hear the snap, and everybody goes, "Oh, no." So the girl walks by, just unaware of what happened, and we're like, "Sean broke the couch. What are we going to do?" I look at her boyfriend. He's like...
How obvious was it?
It was obvious. It was an older style couch, so it had 4 giant wooden peg legs, and then the couch was fabric. There was no cloth hanging over it.
You broke the legs?
I actually put the couch through the floor.
Oh!
Damn.
That's marvelous. Why don't you guys just jam shit in the hole?
Well, we're looking for the broken leg piece. Because I'm feeling under the couch.
It took off somewhere?
We're looking for I'm feeling on the couch. I'm like, I don't feel the splinter because I'd taken wood shop. I figured I'd glue it together and everything would be fine.
Yeah, wood bondo.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't feel a splinter. And then I kind of just run my hand down the leg of the couch and I go, I set it flush with the floor. So I go to pick it up and you just hear, I was like, oh, no way. And I pulled it forward just a little bit and set it back down on the ground.
Man, you put some books under it or something?
Nope. I moved the couch right over the hole, moved the table over so it looked flush. They didn't notice until they moved.
Oh, wow.
And they moved the couch and I had helped them move. And they picked up.
And you immediately went Chris Farley and you're like, what'd you do?
I looked over in the living room and her mom and her stepdad were moving the couch and they picked it up and my heart instantly started beating really quick because, they're going to blame me right away. And they moved the couch and her mom looks down and goes, I don't remember this hole being here when we moved in. He goes, well, they put the check down anyway. It's their problem to deal with.
Damn.
Yeah, so after we moved them out and got them into their new house, I ended up telling her what happened. She thought it was kind of funny. She's like, I'm surprised you broke the floor.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, dude.
Yeah. So in this house back home in Iron Mountain, there's hopefully it's still there. Maybe somebody ran like a cable line through it or something.
Who knows?
Oh God, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, go back to it one of those days.
I helped somebody out. Moved somebody's bed out of the way. Make sure my hole's still there.
See, I thought you were talking like the couch is bold, man. I thought you were talking like you started saying like moving like little stuff. I thought I'm picturing like picture frames or like those lamps with like the hula dancers on them and just kind of maybe turning the dancer a slightly different direction or something. A little. Yeah.
So it started with like a cup where I'd spin the handle outward while all of them were facing in and she'd adjust it and then like sliding pictures over.
That is totally Monica, dude. One cup is adjusted and she goes back to it.
Yeah, she'd she walked by it, saw it and like her peripherals and just went and like turned it back in and then continued on with her.
She was nailing it, just didn't get the couch.
Nope.
That's impressive.
We thought for sure.
Put it through the floor. Like the Incredible Hulk just sat down on the damn couch.
And I feel like I hardly put any weight on it too.
You've just been breaking shit your entire life, haven't you?
I was a tiny Hulk from the word go.
Okay, so that wraps this one up. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'd want to give a shout out to our good friends, our boys over at the One Up Cup. Please check them out. They've got a Facebook page, Twitter, and their blog at oneup-cup.com.
And please check out our sponsors, Detroit Grooming Company. I'm a little biased on this one. For all your gentlemanly needs, you can find them at the web at Detroit Grooming on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and visit their website at detroitgrooming.com.
Another awesome sponsor is Cellar Door Soap and Skin. Please also check them out at their own website, cellardoorsoapandskin.com. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, pretty sure Twitter, all sorts of awesome soaps and other neat stuff that you might need to get yourself clean and going for the day.
What part of your body would you wash?
I wash all of it.
Even your ass?
Yeah, yes.
And if you don't have us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, iTunes, and SoundCloud, then you suck.
Well, and who are we? We're Tales from the Void. Might want to.
They should know this.
Yeah, you should know this.
They should know.
That's who you're listening to.
Yeah.
Well, we hope you're listening to.
I'm not going to introduce myself, but in case nobody knows, I'm Sean.
I'm Josh. I think we said our names in the beginning. We're
and
good.
That's Topper.
And that's Topper.
Topper over there.
All right, that wraps it up. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Suck it. Don't suck it, I'm sorry.